Today, we continue our draft profiles by looking at three OHL players in Jett Luchanko, Luke Misa, and Henry Mews, and where they would potentially fit in to the Sharks draft.
You're Locked On Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, welcome to Locked On Sharks, the premier hockey podcast covering your favorite team in the Bay Area. My name is JD Young, caretaker at The Reef, also the co-host of Western Conference Tuesdays on the Locked On NHL Network. I want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first or second listen of the day. And if you want to be an everydayer, all you have to do is just follow wherever you get podcasts, or you can watch this on YouTube as well. And good friend Ben Jordan from Puck Preps joins, where we talk about his specialty, and that is OHL players. So we're going to talk about Jett Luchanko, Luke Misa, and Henry Mews, and kind of where they potentially would fit in with the Sharks, and kind of looking at what these guys would bring. So this is our second episode. So if you did miss, we talked about Ryan Warsofsky, a whole episode on him. Got a bunch of these draft profiles I would want to try to get out. So we're going to do a double episode here on Friday. So before we get into it, do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by the Ultimate Hockey GM. Ever dreamed of becoming an NHL GM and managing your hockey franchise? Well, now you can with the Ultimate Hockey GM. It's completely free, and Locked On listeners get 100% free boost to their franchise when using the promo code Locked On NHL in the game store. To download the game, just visit hockeygm.app or look it up in the app store. Ultimate Hockey GM. Start your dynasty today. And now we bring on good friend Ben Jordan of Puck Preps. How's it going, buddy?
It's going well. I mean, end of the hockey season's underway, so that means it's draft time, which everyone's stoked for.
I know. For you guys, like you're finishing up here. It's almost now you're just kind of enjoying the the fruits of your labor, I guess, of a whole season of drafting. So, of course, you, an OHL expert, I couldn't think of too many other people to get on here to talk about. We're going to be doing all OHL guys today. We're starting with one, Jett Luchanko. First of all, A+ name, worthy of a top 10 pick just because of the name. But if you don't know who Luchanko is, 5'11" forward, 183 pounds, in 72 games, including playoffs this year. Had 20 goals, 57 assists with 135 shots on goal. So, Ben, what makes Luchanko a exciting prospect at the end of the first, beginning of the second?
Yeah, I think just the combination of the strong skating and the IQ paired together, like he's a guy that I look at as like, no problem, this guy can play center at the next level. Just he understands when to use his speed and how to use his speed based on how plays unfold. And just the high effort on every single shift. He's also a younger birthday, so I'm not too worried about, filling out his size and getting stronger. That'll help us play off the puck. But just the strong, smart skater up the middle is what really stands out for him.
With a name like Jett, you have to be a fast guy, right? Like you can't beat Jett like the slowest guy on the ice, can you?
You'd be doing your parents a disservice.
So
you have to be fast at something.
You have to be fast at something, right? Like if your parents named you Jett, they have a feeling you're probably gonna be a quick kid. So Luchanko, who's kind of profiling, maybe like a high end third line center potentially, or maybe on the second line. Where do you kind of see him fitting in the grand scheme for a team?
Yeah, I think I kind of agree with that assessment. I label him right now like middle six, depending on organization and timing coming up through the pipeline. I mean, you'll get different opportunities elsewhere. I mean, he kind of showed this year, he jumped on the scene. I mean, a lot of Guelph Storm fans were pretty disappointed that they weren't going to be getting Poitras back. He stuck around with Boston, so people were kind of disappointed, weren't really sure if that hole was going to be able to fill. And Jett Luchanko is kind of like a very similar player to Poitras in the sense that they really use their smarts to leverage every little inch of ice out there. So that was kind of a nice surprise for Storm fans, and I think they saw some higher end offense than they were expecting. So lower end to mid end, second line center, high end, third line center. I mean, at his floor, I think you're getting like a Nick Waugh type player with a little bit more speed and playmaking. So that's kind of what I see in terms of predictability.
All right. He's been kind of all over in the draft. You kind of see him in the early 20s, maybe in the beginning of the second round. Like, if you're the Sharks, if you're a scout for the Sharks and they ask you, okay, like make the case for Luchanko at 33, if he's still there, what's your kind of elevator pitch on why that he should be entering San Jose's organization?
Yeah, well, not to spoil anything, but if I'm the Sharks and he's there at 33, I'm sprinting to the podium right now. He's my fifth ranked skater coming out of the OHL and 18th overall. So at 33, based on my board, you're getting incredible value. But I think the biggest thing that I would include in my pitch is just he's a winner. All the traits you're looking for. And Jett Luchanko is the type of guy that you're spending a first plus to grab at the deadline. You're overpaying in free agency. He's that type of guy. And if you have the ability to draft him, I think you're just miles ahead as you can get him kind of accustomed to your own system and the way your organization plays and cultivate that through. So I think he has a lot of winning characteristics, and that's why I'd be intrigued.
All right. What do you think as he continues his development, what's the one thing you think he needs to work on the most?
Yeah, I think shooting, honestly. I think he can be a much bigger threat, especially in the slot. I think there's room for growth in special teams. I think he could play a role on a power play. I think he's smart enough. I think he could play a similar role to kind of Braden Point in the bumper, where he's just got really good hands, really good ability to draw guys in. If he can improve in the shooting aspect, I think that just draws more defenders into him. He becomes more of a threat there, and that just kind of helps open the ice for everyone else. So I think that's the one area I'm kind of looking for him to grow is offensive contributions on the power play.
And then I assume with a guy like this, he kind of has at least, just kind of reading his profiles and stuff, has the makings to probably be like an ace penalty killer just because of his smarts and the way he plays the game. Does that make sense too?
Yeah, 100%. I love the way that Guelph utilized him. Super aggressive up top at the blue line, and really smart. That's the bottom line. You want smart players out on the penalty kill, and Jett is that.
All right. So yeah, if you like you said, you have him kind of in at 18. We'll see kind of where he goes. I've seen anywhere from like kind of early 20s on for a guy like Luchanko, and especially if the Sharks go with the defenseman at 14 and they want to continue to add to their forward pipeline at 33. I think that's going to be a big decision for the Sharks here with Jett Luchanko. If he's there at 33, I have a feeling he's probably going to be long gone, but we're trying to cover all of our bases here. So yeah, Luchanko, very intriguing prospect, and we'll continue with another one here in just 1 second. All right, guys, before we continue by talking about Luke Misa and Henry Mews, just need to take a quick break here. Hey, Locked On Sharks fans, I want to take a moment to bring up one of our partners, the mobile game Ultimate Hockey GM. Ever dreamed of becoming an NHL GM and managing your hockey franchise? Do you think you can run the Sharks better than Mike Greer? Well, your dream can come true, and this game is most definitely for you. Manage every strategic aspect of your team, play through the seasons and lead it to glory, hire the right coaches, staff, trade players or draft picks, navigate through free agency and the draft, all in a challenging and realistic game world. As a Sharks fan, there's no offseason. GMs are constantly making moves at every point of the year to improve their team's chances. That's why I think you're going to love this game. Ultimate Hockey GM is completely free and playable offline, so you can play on the go as you want and when you want to. Locked On listeners also get a 100% free boost to their franchise when using the promo code LOCKEDONNHL in the game store, so make sure to check it out. To download the game, just visit hockeygm.app or look it up on the app stores. Ultimate Hockey GM. Start your dynasty today. All right, let's continue by looking at another forward in the OHL, and that's one Luke Misa, 5'10", Mississauga, who now transferred to, where are they at now?
They're in Brampton now. Brampton gets a second kick at the can. We'll see.
It's like 10 minutes away or something like that. Anyway, 5'10", 175 pounds, 71 games this year, including playoffs, at 27 goals, 57 assists with 219 shots on goal. And Luke Misa, why do you think he's such an intriguing prospect? Or do you think he's an intriguing prospect?
Yeah, Luke's an interesting case. Like what I've been really impressed with about him is every year since he's entered the OHL, he's really shown massive improvement, and I think that's super important because we're not drafting guys for what they do right now. We're drafting players for what they will do. So the ability to show growth and the ability to want to improve your game, I think, is a really good characteristic. So that makes him intriguing in terms of a projection going forward. In terms of right now, just a really intriguing playmaker. I think he does an exceptional job taking advantage of open ice. Where I have a little bit of difficulty with him is his ability to create open ice, and what he does when they're facing, tougher competition, especially in the playoffs this year, when guys are closing on you quicker and you have less time. That's definitely an area that he'll be touching on. But just his ability to make plays in space is super impressive and something you can't really turn a blind eye to.
Okay, so where does he kind of project for a team? You said the guy who's can make plays, but also struggles to make plays at the same time. Like how would kind of see where his projection is? So
yeah, I think kind of as opposed to Luchanko, who I think is definitely a lot closer and already kind of in the mold of the pro game, just sturdier. I think Misa's definitely a few years away. He's definitely a 2 more years in junior type project, just refining, getting stronger, and honestly showing that his ability to be an offensive contributor at the next level. I don't see him in a bottom 6 capacity penalty kill type guy. I really don't see that. So we know with guys like Nick Robertson that they struggle in those types of roles, and if he isn't able to adapt his game to more of a pro style and play that type of game, I think he's the kind of guy that might struggle to produce at the NHL level. So that's kind of where I'm at with him right now.
Where do you have him ranked among your OHL guys?
Yeah, so I'm at 16 right now, OHL wide. I'm still kind of filtering through my overall rankings, so I haven't I just finished ranking the first round, so we'll get to Luke at some point there, but 16th OHL wide right now.
So that's again, like you've seen Luke Misa like early second round type of player. So do you think maybe the value might not be there for a guy like Misa? Maybe you would probably head in another direction.
Yeah, I think definitely in the first 2 rounds, at least Ontario based, there's guys that'll be available that I'd probably look at ahead of him. As it goes into the 3rd round and later, you're looking for guys that have one skill that stands out, and I could totally understand, and I see a lot of the upside with his playmaking and acceleration and agility, and play in tight space. I mean, he's pretty good at protecting the puck. It's just those explosive moves to get out of the corner and get that extra step or 2 on a defender, so that he can give himself the opportunity to set guys up and make plays, because that's his bread and butter. So, I could see the appeal in like a 3rd round, a mid 3rd round, take a shot on him. I'm not actually sure. I feel like the consensus is kind of all over the place with him. I've seen him, quite a bit higher and also around kind of the range that I see him in, but definitely in the 3rd round, a team looking to take a shot. Maybe a team kind of like San Jose that has more picks than not. That's a kind of team that I see going after him.
Makes sense there again, because like you said, you're kind of drafting for trades. He does have, like you said, that playmaking there, but it worries me when you don't know what to do when guys close on space, especially as you get more advanced. That space and time evaporates quicker, and you see that kind of even jumping from OHL to AHL, and then when you go to the NHL, like there's just that time is just gone, right? Unless you unless you're super fast, or your hockey IQ is just off the charts. You can kind of see things before it's going to happen. So, and it worries me, especially if you said he doesn't project to be a bottom six type of guy. And looking at the way the Sharks prospect pool is kind of building up here, I just don't know if there's a fit for him, right?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I mean, I struggle to lean on the higher end in terms of a ranking with a guy that I don't really see like a projection. So if he doesn't work out as a top six winger, for example, what can he contribute at the NHL level? And right now, I just simply don't see it. I mean, if we look back at draft classes in years past, there's guys that can't make it, right? Not everyone can make it. And so you've got to pick and choose wisely, and that's why a lot of guys get paid the big bucks. Some to do it better than others. But right now, I'm kind of struggling on the projection side, which is where I try not to kind of fall down that loophole, right? Because in the OHL, it's plays off the rush, transition, lots of offensive opportunities, lots of room for high-end skill to flash, and he's had no trouble putting up points. I mean, almost 60 assists in his draft years is impressive. But just kind of looking a little bit deeper, that's where I struggle.
All right. What do you think the one thing he works on could make him turn it kind of into a valuable NHL player?
Yeah, I think just his board play, like especially in the cycle game, picking pucks off the wall cleanly. That just sets him up for cleaner plays down low and on the walls, which gives him as best an opportunity as possible to curl out, create space, make a play. I think he has to understand his strengths, right? His strengths are making plays. The better you make plays, the more space you normally have. How can he set himself up in the most open ice as possible? He's got the agility. He's got the skating. I truly believe, I think picking pucks off the wall, using deception to spin off players, and then just getting stronger, those explosive strides coming off defenders, coming off the wall. I think those are kind of the areas that I'd be looking at. Perimeter play, in short, how can you get from the perimeter to the inside the fastest? You want to work on the small area stuff, explosive plays. So that's where I'd look for him to take that next step next year.
All right. Luke Misa, we'll see, buddy. I think you kind of turned me off on the potential of Misa at either 33 or 42, just because I think there's other options potentially for the Sharks there. So, if that third round pick, if he's still there, you could maybe talk me into it. But yeah, I think I might be you might have turned me off on him. So. All right, guys, before we finish up, we talk about Henry Mews, who could be a steal at number 33. Just need to take a quick break. Passion, drive, and patience, the formula for winning championships, is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors is everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. With the eBay Guarantee Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back, because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. And with all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guarantee Fit, only available to U.S. customers. All right, let's finish up by looking at a blue liner who have seen mocked to the Sharks in the second round, and especially if the Sharks do go forward, and you're looking for a potential to add another piece. That is one Henry Mews, so 6 foot, 183 pound defenseman playing for Ottawa, 75 games this year, including playoffs, 17 goals, 49 assists, and 179 shots on goal. So Henry Mews, potential steal in the second, or what are your thoughts on him as a potential second rounder?
Yeah, Henry Mews is super interesting. I mean, going last summer, going into the Holinka and coming off of his rookie season, I think expectations were super high. He had a pretty stellar rookie season, couldn't have really been in a better place. Stayed at home in Ottawa, where he's from, got opportunities on the power play, was a contributor on a really good team. Um, and I think, to be quite honest, I don't think he met the offensive expectations that a lot of people had for him this year, and I think that's affected his ranking
Hmm.
in a negative sense. I personally see him as a difference maker offensively. I think he could quarterback a power play at the next level. 5-on-5 play is maybe a little bit iffy. We might be looking at like a fringe second pair, probably really good third pairing guy that can contribute on a second power play unit, maybe even top power play unit. But just really smart player, understands where players are, especially in transition, breaking the puck out, understands where his teammates are going to be, puts pucks into areas where they're going to be, and just that kind of facilitates really effective breakouts. And a lot of times when he's on the ice, they're playing in the offensive zone. Like I said, in the OHL, it's just rush, transition, who can get up ice fastest, catch defenders on their heels, and Muse is really good at that. So from an offensive standpoint, I personally think there's a lot of intrigue
Hmm.
with him that I think his ranking and expectations were quite high going into the year, and that's kind of affected the picture. But I think he's, right up there with a lot of the other top, kind of that second tier of defenders. I think there's a
Yeah.
big, hefty bulk of them once you get outside the, Levshinov, Perex of the world. But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at with Muse.
Yeah, I mean, like you have like the EJ Emerys, the Cole Hudsons, like the Muse, all these guys kind of in that late
Yeah,
first,
100% in that bucket.
early second. If the Sharks do go forward, I think that he could be someone that San Jose definitely looks at here as they're again trying to add some more pieces to the blue line. So, where do you have Muse ranked in your OHL your rankings?
Yeah, I have him as my 8th ranked OHL skater right now, and then 30th overall. So just
So
kind of
that's
tail end of this first round, early second. I mean, there's kind of a big tier of guys there. I haven't fully solidified rankings of everything, but that's kind of initial thought is late first.
If you're the Sharks at 33, it's right in the range right there. So
Yep, for sure.
we talk about his offensive game, of course. I mean, I'm very much defenses for nerds. Keep the puck out of your own zone. But how is he in his own zone? At least the defensive side of it. I know he's not the biggest guy, he's still good size. So it's 6'1", 183. So give us a rundown on his defensive game.
Yeah, I'd personally describe it right now as in the works. I think it lacks consistency. Is
Yeah.
how I would describe it. He's not an overly physical defender, so it's a lot of stick work and smart plays. And to be honest, if you're not the type of defender that's separating forwards from the puck, I think a lot of times, especially in junior, you lack consistency.
Yep.
Just because there's less control, right? I mean, um, playing with your stick and using your stick as your number one means to defend is tougher. I would like to see Muse engage physically a little bit more, especially behind the net, ending cycle plays and shutting things down. Um, Especially when there's the ability for him to get the puck in his hands, because as I mentioned earlier, just his ability to break out and get transition going north is really exceptional. So that's kind of where I'm at with Muse defensively. I'd like to see him engage
Mhm.
physically going forward, which I know he can because I've seen it on rare occasions. Um, Mostly in the playoffs where everyone's game sort of elevates, and that's
Yeah.
an area that he incorporates into his game. But that's what I'd like to see going forward.
So he could be a potential, like you mentioned, stellar rookie season, maybe a little bit of the sophomore slump with more expectations, but you could be looking at it as a potential bounce back candidate next year where, that going into it, you get drafted another year, being bigger, stronger, faster, all that stuff there. But you could be looking at a guy, and I don't know how Ottawa is projected to be next year, but I assume if they made the playoffs this year, they're probably going to continue to get better. Where like, wow, where did this guy come from a year from now? Because maybe everything kind of clicks for him next year.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I could really see him as like one of those 90-point defensemen next year that comes in. I offensively, I think he could have a year like Brustevich had in
Mhm.
Kitchener this year, where there should be lots of offensive weapons. In Ottawa, Luca Pinelli coming back, rookie they just drafted this year, who I really like, Nathan Amidovsky. So a lot of star power will be available to him in Ottawa um, to help offensively. Defensively, hope he takes those strides. That'll kind of make him a dominant force all over. But in terms of offensive projections, I think he could absolutely be in the upper echelon of OHLD next year.
All right. Other than the consistency defensively, what do you think is the one thing he needs to work on as he continues his progression?
Yeah, I think just deception at the top. It mostly from a shooting perspective. I think that he is absolutely a threat with his shot,
Mhm.
but I think he could do a little bit better just opening up lanes for himself. Deception not only helps the guy at the top get the shot through, but deception also buys some time for forwards to get in front and get in the goalie's eyes and other things kind of underneath the surface. So I think that's one thing that I'd look for. He's got the skills, he's got the agility, just looking for the confidence to make those plays. Up at the top, I think, is one of the biggest things. And with that, you open up a whole new can of worms offensively in terms of tools he can use. Opens up passing lanes with guys coming to tie up, people screening in front. And it opens up a whole new slew of opportunities if he becomes a threat to shoot. So I think deception will help him become more of a threat to shoot. And that's kind of what I'm looking for him to take that next step.
All right. So make the pitch. Sharks come to you. Why should they pick Henry Mews at 33?
Yeah, Henry kind of embodies what it means to be an NHL defenseman these days. I think if you're not able to retrieve the puck in your own zone, make a good first pass, and get the puck out of your zone quickly, and get your team playing offense, that you're going to struggle with the pace of the game. And Henry, that's one of Henry's A game areas. So I think if I'm making a pitch to a team, he's exactly what you want in this era. And he's built for the next level and the speed at the next level for sure.
And as Sharks fans, we watch plenty of defensemen struggle to get the puck out of their own zone all season long. And I think at this point, they cannot have enough transition at least guys who can get the puck out of the zone. That is my big thing. Like, just get the puck going the other way. Because, I can't sit and watch another 2-minute, 30-second shift from Kyle Burrows this season. So, anyway, Ben, thank you so much for your time, buddy. Where can the people find you?
Yeah, you can find me at Twitter at the handle listed here. If you're listening on Spotify or wherever else, Speed Jordan NHL on Twitter or X or whatever it's called these days.
It's Twitter, man.
whole bunch of OHL and Ontario content, especially leading into the draft. Should have more coming out. You can find my work. I'm a contributor at Puck Preps. Subscription is on the lower end, and lots of valuable NCAA and all three CHL league recruiting and rankings and tons of information there on all the next game's brightest stars.
Yes. When are you starting, what year are you guys on now? Like 09s, 10s here soon?
Oh man, I guess out west where they draft Bantam players, they'll be on the 2010s next year. I'm with the 2006s and 2007s this year. So 2006 is getting drafted into the NHL this year, which is
I know. As we're recording this, it's Macklin celebrating his birthday, and 2006. It hurts a little bit. It hurts a little bit when you start to see those. I know, or even Ryan Warsofsky was hired, and he's younger than me at this. So it's. Don't get old, Ben. Anyway, Ben, thank you so much. We'll chat again soon, buddy.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for having me on, JD. Anytime. Love talking OHL.
All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed my conversation with Ben. Henry Mews has got my perked up about that one, especially if the Sharks do go forward with, of course, with Celebrini, and then with their pick at number 14. Mews at 33 is a guy that I would be circling as a potential fit for the Sharks to add someone who potentially has some juice there for the Sharks. So that's a guy who I'm circling there, especially if Hudson or EJ Emery. I think Mews could be a really nice fit at 33, especially if you can kind of find his game in his draft plus one season. So Luchanko, I think, is going to be long gone, but if he's there, I think you have to really think hard about that one. And Misa is a guy, I think, after talking to Ben, I've cooled on a bit there. So we'll continue to have at least two more of these as we're kind of running out of time. The draft's coming up, guys. So next week we'll be talking about, of course, we'll have Ryan Warsawski's opening press conference. We'll kind of hear his remarks from that. I'm sure we'll also hear from Mike Greer as well there. We'll continue to get ready for the draft. We'll continue to get ready for free agency. So plenty of good stuff still coming here at Locked On Sharks. Make sure you follow along wherever you get podcasts. And, of course, you can watch on YouTube as well. Follow the show on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Locked On Sharks. Follow me on Twitter at MyFryhole. Till Monday. Bye, friends.